Hello, James here. Yeah, I just heard a video on Dr. Umar Johnson's father about the latest incident about what happened to the. I don't know if anybody heard about this. This is he was down there in Atlanta. He was in Atlanta, Georgia, and his business got vandalized. And so now his dad speaks up about he's taking he wanted to be sincere and take responsibility on his own on behalf. His father is Jamal Johnson. He just made a video on his personal channel, and he's trying. What she was saying that he's very remorseful for what the business happened, and he says he's tried to talk with his son and about things. There's some crazy things he said in the past, like on Lennon's uh, Lennon's basically on Lennon's channel. So, in which I understand what trying to make out, and it is what I do agree is whoever did this, it is getting kind of out of hand. But on the other hand, people don't. What Mr. Johnson don't understand, his father don't understand, is that Umar basically he brought it on himself. He just, and I don't know if you've seen his father's channel, but I think it's Jamal Johnson SQU, but that's he's giving an explanation about what's going on. But yeah, that's what it is. I mean, he goes up there with an arrogant attitude, and then you got people so-called trying to really get his point from the conscious community, trying to see where he's coming from. And ever since that, I guess that interview with Lord Jamal, people really got to see the other side of Umar, what his intentions was. And there's some people that still stick about Umar Johnson, and they still, refuse to believe that, despite what he said, he's Pan-African, and when people show by the book sign, the first people who he speaks against is the people who still took a pose with him in the picture. Now there were two, like a white couple, and I seen this on the channel. So he unfortunately it was messed up that the woman's business got violated, but Umar has brought his own situation around. So basically he basically brought it on himself. Everything his own words. He haven't used common sense and wisdom concerning this school with money. He's been going across the country and trying to do little, I guess, raffle things to try to get people signed for some website, that they came to be in a membership club and all these things, trying to, he chooses however he wants, choose to make money, but it just every time he keeps opening up something, it turns into, it don't look really good. And some people pointing it out that being a membership, but truth about children. And he speaks one thing I notice about him. He speaks one way. I mean, which he is telling the truth about their actual facts about schooling in the past and certain things in history. He's actual, and I don't knock that from him, because there's some things he said has been proven to be true. But on the other hand, it's his personality, the way he go about it, that really doesn't make no sense. And that's what it is. I mean, I mean, it is. So that's why people are coming at him. That's why people, and he refuses to kind of like maybe lay it low, but he goes on and on and on and on. So he gives more material for people to poke and prod at. And instead of taking some time off and maybe just for a little while, and maybe going, maybe do some part-time, whatever his major was with being a school psychologist, maybe just need to take that time out and get offline for a minute and focus on maybe partnership in building up the money to go into his profession. But he's been going across the country and trying to being the hype man for something that's not really there. So that's why people are coming at Mr. Jamal's son, is because he brought it on himself. It's his own words. Now I agree with him. I agree with him on this. Is that, hey, nobody shouldn't be like threatening somebody, and other people shouldn't be innocent people who associate with Umar shouldn't be getting their business vandalized or people threatening somebody. I agree with you. Whether it's the people who are on either side, people who are exposing him, or the ones who are not. But yeah, he pretty much brought it on himself. What his Umar's father his own mouth is his own destruction. That's all his personality, and that's what it's basically about. But I applaud his father for trying to step up and be the peacemaker and reach out to the woman in her business and everything. But it's but yeah, he won't kind of like take a chill pill for a minute. And every time when he comes on the internet, I mean, you make a YouTube, Instagram video, or Facebook, he makes himself look worse than what it is. So that's why people are mocking him. That's why people are coming at him like that. Because he's not trying to. If he need to take a couple backstrap. At least what I could say, with you haven't seen too much of Jay Morrison. At least I can say, I could give him props right now to say at least he kind of backed down a little bit. It kind of reinvent his ways. There's been a few people that's been exposed for doing not so nice things, but at least they had the sense enough to know that, hey, I screwed up. Let me turn the wheel, so to speak. And now that people exposed, but now it's making itself look worse and worse, and he's digging himself in his home, and eventually he's gonna get himself in trouble with the officials who are, people who are like the IRS or something like that. So he's only opened up his own door, with certain tax stats with the school and everything, and the way he going about it, and he's gonna try to constantly across the country instead of really taking some time out and just basically just be your own profession and work part-time or full-time on your own, just to build up some clientele. And that's what I think, if people would leave him alone, if he was really sincere about that. He's saying, hey, I got to go meet the client of this child. If people were seeing this, I think that they wouldn't come at him like that. Well, at least he is trying to, do his profession. But he haven't been. It's not sounding like he have been in his profession for a long time. So, just like any other profession, you have to get the latest data on how to deal with children. And he haven't been around children for the last 10, 12 years. So you need every professional, whether it's a teacher, whether it's anybody dealing with education, dealing with human behavior or something like that, they usually kind of craft themselves to be how to deal with certain situations with human behavior, whether it's a children or an adult. And whether it's psychiatrist or psychologist or in what he's called himself, they always having some kind of meetings, trying to get perfected what's the latest thing. But I don't see that with Umar Johnson. I don't hear him talking on a level like that. That he's spitting out a lot of information. It sounds like he did a course, like one online courses or whatever. But he sounded like, not to knock out people who doing things over the education over the line, but it sounds so generic. But you don't hear him upgrading his field. And so that's why that's another reason why people are coming at him. And that's why I say to his dad that Umar is doing this. His own mouth is his own enemy, and that's what it comes down to. And I mean, I don't wish no harm to come to him either. I don't want wish to come to nobody is in this situation. And one thing that I agree with him, it's not worth it. I do agree with him that no one should be threatening violence against nobody. But on the other hand, but his son have threatened violence against other people, and with people who disagree with them, and talk about going up into their residence and to their business and having someone threaten them and trying to influence. So he's caused this. He said this to himself, and people like Leonard Arnold and other people had the video on him saying it and confronted him online, saying, hey, you do this, appropriate action with the local law enforcement, it was going to be necessary. But that's something that come out of his mouth, that he made a personal video. So everything he proved, whatever he said, he can't handle simple disagreements against people who don't believe in his way. So he and that's kind of like in a childlike way. It's almost that if you threaten somebody, and then you go, and so that's what's coming down to. So, and that's what his father don't understand. He is own person. He has not shown any maturity, and he's not even in his own personal life. And so it's like, he need to worry about his own personal life, his own well-being as well. I heard he take care of his own. If he was the kind of man that would interact with his own children, and maybe it would show that, maybe people wouldn't really come at Umar Johnson like the way it was. Because most people, they show some type of involvement with their children. And the ones who criticize them, they have children, and you see them have some type of interaction with their children on their family time. They show them some type of, and when people see that, then I don't think they will really come at him like as well. But he acts like he do, but yeah, that's basically what it is. He just, if he would just stay offline for a moment, do his lay low for 3 or 4 months, and just work behind the scenes as far as getting his school up. There's some people, if they do something scandalous, they're not online every time. Take, for example, the one situation what happened with Papa John, that situation. That guy that made some, incident with a racial remark about, and his pizza stopped. Papa John's Pizza, the guy was the front man the whole time. At least he had sense enough that he screwed up a couple times. You seen his face, and then he just faded in the background, because once he'd been exposed, he knew that would hurt his brand. And so they hurry up and like most people do, they hurry up and grab someone, a few other celebrities, and then the stockholders start pulling back. And the next thing you know, they had to use someone like Shaquille O'Neal to be the front man of Papa John's, because Papa John's, co-founder and stock investor, said something insensitive about black people. But at least I give him credit for this. He owned up and got off line and just basically fade out. But Umar Johnson keeps opening up his mouth and don't use the same analogy, and then he won't take responsibility of the very words that he says and the very actions that he do. That's why they come at him. It's something that you have people who are psychologists studying human behavior, whether they're adults or children, have to look at another person, a profession, saying, hey, this person he's not fit because he don't have the temperament in the way he's displayed. And then, people who are professional in the profession seeing this, and they make an opposition like this. What he's doing, you saying some things is correct, but your actions are not showing that you are balanced and professional. Then it seems like you cater to a certain type of people that think that they're very ignorant. See, sometimes it's that they think that some black people, you think that it's coming from the white people, but it seems like it's not coming from not all white people thinking that black people are stupid. You got some black people thinking that you're all stupid, like him. That's the way he does that, the way he talks to people. Because any person with a common sense of mind would see like something isn't adding up with this dude. It's something. It is what it is, and he keeps showing his behind to people. So, I feel bad for again that whatever incident happened, and basically people want to know what's going on, and he would have more donors for his school if he was really legit and he took it in a different, proper way, and would have been transparent from the beginning, had a blueprint, and just estimate, itemize, showing this is how much we need, this what kind of goal we need. I don't think people would really say anything. Then you would kind of give somebody a certain percentage of people, give him a break. At least he is trying to improve on something, but he hasn't really. People don't know where their money really went. And then now that at the one point, a part of the video, he did buy the building. Someone proved that because he wasn't going to prove it. Someone else had to go dig up the records of where that building was at, show the actual price of how much he paid for the building, which later on he had to come behind and say, yeah, so that was factual. But all the other stuff, it wasn't logical. He had people coming down there that were really painting the building. The one part of the video, that was the supporters, and there were some people pointing it out. Like when you paint a building, you start from the top. You don't start from the bottom. So they were outside painting the building, that the walls and other stuff probably needed. You had to probably the sandblast the inside and do the inside on top of the building and inside the building, or to complete the outside of the building. And there were experts on here saying that what they were doing was incorrect, and it was half shafty and half shady. And then one of the YouTubers saying, what about children having transportation to and from school? So you have a bunch of single mothers, a lot of them don't have transportation, so it didn't show him getting like buses or vans or estimating that out. When she pointed out very good in the video, since it's single fathers or single mothers that are trying to get these kids to the building, he didn't show the estimate about that. He didn't show the estimate about a cleaning crew. Seems like he wants everybody to volunteer a cleaning crew. And there's people that come halfway across the country just to try so-called support him. And here they donated some to a building that's basically is toxic. It probably has mold and asbestos on the inside of it. And people didn't think about that. And it's probably more inside that building. It haven't been up to code, up to city part. Then people didn't think, another thing that his supporters didn't think about, we in the middle of what they call COVID. So hardly any schools, whether they newly schools or old schools right now, are not taking children into the building. So they have to do what they call remote learning right now. So things are going to be, he didn't take account that maybe that's why some people probably held back off on their donations, because it's, unless you have some kind of system in the schools like what should be in the business to cut down whatever stuff that's going through the atmosphere, whether it's COVID-19 or however it's coming into the building, or some other, mold, asbestos, or some other stuff floating around in the air that could affect the staff and the children. You don't want them being sick than what they are and being exposed to something like that. And then the children already have, if they have problems, because if they get a hold of lead or something like that in their system, it might do even more damage. So, and most likely that building probably has lead problems, probably too, with a couple other problems. So that's why. And then the fact that the area, if you get people come around there, then someone pointed this early out last year, I believe it was, that there's a lot of sexual offenders around there, not too far, and it's a not so nice area. And someone pulled up the data on that one. So he encouraging people come in the area where there's sexual offenders around there. People not thinking about that. And they jumping on inside, but they're not looking at the facts. Look at those people who brought up the data on past videos about all this information I'm mentioning to you about the permit, about the area, the EPA, and the proof is make a change, and different people like that making the videos about it, who did their diligence, thorough check on this. So some people need to check on that. So as more and more, when he's trying to build up for these schools, and he didn't consider the locations and consider the background. He just went out and helped and got to school, didn't do no background EPA check, the cost of the building, bringing his own expert team of people, someone that maybe did work with the city and enforcement code. Is this building up to par? Estimate the insurance on the building, estimating the repairs, the upkeep, the taxes, the utilities, and all other things to keep the school running. And then someone pulled up that he haven't paid the utilities on the property, and they pulled up that he hadn't paid since he bought the building. He hadn't paid it. The taxes are backed up, so he has to get, and he can't just do that off for donations. So I would say to Mr. Johnson's father that he's making himself look bad. He's not being responsible. He's not thinking things thoroughly. And the one guy who interviewed him on his channel, basically, he just opened up and clowned out on him, and he was just trying to give him some advice. But he think that he's Mr. Know-it-all, and he haven't thought about it all. And there's people who critique him, and really they're saying, hey, if you would think about it. A lot of the viewers who Umar Johnson have been on the radio show say, what have you done this, have you done that, have you done this, about the area, the cost, and everything else. And he just deflect and he divert. and it gets offensive. So he opened up his true character. I'm tired of answering questions about that. Yeah, because he haven't really showed a display. He wasn't businesslike. He wasn't formal. He didn't estimate it out. If he would have been like that, then hey, you could look at it and say, hey, why don't you guys kind of back off? You know, he's already proved, he already showed, but he haven't done that. That's why. So he is his own worst enemy. And then the stuff that he says when on his private time, that people take whenever you say something outlandish in his videos, whether it was through by himself or his actions, and he's out there in the graveyard talk about some off the wall stuff, his character is starting to show. Some people starting to notice that this is supposed to be a psychologist, and he's doing this his own self, trying to be seen across the country. So, and he's supposed to be a professional, and some of the things that come out of his mouth on the side isn't very professional. So that's why they're mocking him. If I would say to his father, your son is his mouth, his own destruction. He has no wisdom whatsoever. He has not exercised no common sense. Just maybe kind of laid back for a while. Lay back, get offline, man. Just till this thing smooth over. But other than that, when every time he bring himself on social media, people get more material on him, and they make a comedy show about him with his own words. And people, every time it's a video after video. He had made lies up on people, got other people making lies on people. Like this one young man that, because this one guy was critiquing him and he was showing words out of his own mouth, he called himself getting someone else to see that they can lie on the person who actually had the proof that Umar Johnson did say that words out of his own mouth. He actually said the very things. And then now the guy who's doing this, he's about to get in trouble. And the one woman, Afro Spengali, who he tried to come at her, and let's state this for a record, he threatened her as well as the other people, and trying to get anybody to try to dig up information on some of these people where they by going through the IP address, that feel like they're gonna track them down. One thing, they ain't gonna be able to track them down because some of these people are smart enough who critique him, knowing that there's some idiot out there is gonna try to threaten it, try to so-called stick up for Umar, and so they know how to stay ghost offline. So like Miss Bengali, she know how to stay ghost. You're never gonna find who Miss Bengali look like, because she has no picture, she has no record of herself online, and that's smart on her behalf. And then many other people who stay incognito behind the camera, they just have an avatar and a voice. You would never know where their location, because you know, unless you work at YouTube, you can't track them down. and if you did, you would be in serious violation, in trouble. So he has threatened people too. What I'm saying is, he has sent people out to threaten other people. And so and again, you're right, Mr. Johnson. It's not worth it. But your son initiated by threatening them because people were actually showing he's not logic to run a school. He's trying to act like a gang, almost like a high level gang member, by having a hitman, having someone take some and threaten somebody or scare him off or stop him. And that's what he did. He did with a few other people. So, and they didn't do that to him. They didn't, everybody have their own opinion, whether they agree with you or not, but you don't go around and threaten people and having other people that because someone supports you, if someone agree with you that don't agree with you, that's one thing. But it's another thing when you have people, and he done this out of his own mouth. So you have to consider that. That's why he this is how all this stuff blow up. It all comes back to him. It all comes back to him when he put that out there. And it would, if some of the people who were critiquing him was supporting him. They were at one time, there were 3 or 4 or 5 people that was sending money to his school because it sounded like he started off legitimate. But at some point in time, they start questioning. And they say, hey. And so when there were other people saying, Umar, you're not being transparent. What's really going on? Then it gets into this defense mode. I don't care if someone had $25. And he had, he said that on his one video. You just donated one time. Well, that maybe at that time they wanted to see, they was gonna test the water and say, if we send you $25, what you gonna do with this $25? He don't think about that. That maybe that person would have came back and sent more if he would have showed that he was doing more. If he would have estimated, he would say, okay, we had this goal with taking care of the gymnasium. We had this goal with the transportation. We had this goal. If he would have showed that, he would have had the money. And then it's certain, people were right. You just can't go by and keep donation over some who's going to, as far as the taxes and who's going to pay for the utilities. And you could tell he didn't think about this thoroughly. So again, it comes back to him. And so he's giving more material for people to mock him and poke fun of him. He's giving a lot more just by his actions. That's the truth. That is the actual truth. And that's why they're making video and making cartoons of him. Like Wacky Tunes and other individuals, because he keeps doing dumb stuff. So he don't have sense enough to just, hey, let me back off. But every day or every week he's doing something outlandish, trying to promote himself instead of just taking a hiatus and back down off of social media. That would be his best thing to do. Other word, it ain't gonna get off the ground. It's good because more people gonna find out who he is. More people gonna find out the truth who he is and what he's really gonna do. And a lot of people can't stand scammers that come to the internet, because you have a lot of people running some kind of scam. There's some people that have legitimate business, but you also got some scammers out there that are bringing all kind of scam. And there's some people trying to get to know who he is, but when they go back and see some of the old video on how he presented himself, then they're going to see that this guy is not legit, that he's a phony. So you got other people coming up with new material on Umar Johnson, women and men that are doing this. And it's some of his very words that he say. That's what his father don't understand. It's his very words, his actions. So that provoke all of this. So anything that, as far as the schooling, anything part of his book signing, anything of his own reaction, they look at his character in the past. And they looked at his character, some of the things that he was said when he would go and meet with people. And he did some of the stuff that fly out of his mouth against the LGBT community, against police officers, against boys and girls. Even if the one time he would take some parents through the school about some kids gonna come in with some nasty draws and things like that. I mean, which is some stuff was just questionable. And you should have heard some like nasty draws, and then the one time he made a video about young ladies acting out in sexual performance, and they get this out off a grown behavior called thoughtish. I mean, what professional talk like that? I mean, that's not professional. Psychiatrists and psychologists don't use those terminologies. And I don't care if they talk to some people who are not very eloquent or educated. They don't talk to people like that. They don't talk to them like they stupid. But the stuff that he says is questionable. It's unorthodoxy. It's like Landis. It's like, for real, dude? And so, again, you have to, he has to take responsibility for his own actions. And that's why other people, say, so you can't blame the conscious community, any other community of people or individuals. I would say to his father, it's your son is his own destruction. Now, if there's anybody, as far as saying that people cause violence or vandalism, and I don't think somebody would do something like that or encourage something like that. Again, he started something, and it fueled the fire. It's some of the very words that he said. And there's some people who are weak-minded that go by and try to do what he do because they think that he got some kind of power star status. And there's some sick mental individuals out there that like who vandalized this woman's business down there. Again, he started this, and he doesn't use wisdom when he comes to social media. He don't use no kind of wisdom. He trying to sound like some thug or street person off the street. So you get the response of some people in that way. So be careful what you say or what you put out, because whatever you say, there's somebody out there who's sick. It will go on and say, "I'll do it for you," and they put themselves in a heap of trouble. And there was one video where it was I forgot, Ms. Bengali was saying that, Bengali was saying that there was a guy that's trying to mimic his personality at a school building, and he ended up losing his job, trying to act like Dr. Umar Johnson and trying to mimic his personality. A guy that was a little bit younger than he was, and he lost his job. Just having that same kind of attitude. So he caused other people to get fired off their job. And people who support them have the same spirit as that he do. So it questions other people. So you go if you would send your kids to around his school, people who would support him, try to protect him, or try to get into an altercation with you. So let's say if you wasn't that kind of person. So they look what kind of mentality that people who support him is. If he got that kind of, I'm gonna pull up with my goons, and you got men acting like that who have children, why would you want to send your children to a school like that? Because that means that bully, intimidation behavior is gonna be on their kids. They're gonna try, and it'd be a big old turnout. And it would be a fallout. It would be a disaster, because he would start stuff, and he don't know how to properly communicate with people. He think it's his way and his only way, and he's gonna find the hard way in life. That your very words is gonna hurt you in the end, because if you want to lead into something, you have to have balanced behavior. But if you're the kind of person that's not balanced, and no one can talk to you, no one can rationalize it and reason with you, even if people that were once supporting you, if they say you can't be reasonable, then whatever you start ain't gonna last too long. And I don't care how long you've been on social media or in life, or so-called what you done. It's your person. It's the now. And where is the testimony of individuals who you saying that, but sometimes good great men and great women, if you're good at something, they would give good testimony about you. They say, yeah, this guy has helped me. Your work, your accolades, your whatever, your body of work will show for itself. You know, other psychologists would recommend, yeah, you know, he has good material, but not too many people who are in this field have even recommended him. Where's the testimony of his past patients that talked to Dr. Umar? Has anybody? Because reputation means a lot. I mean, you're gonna have some people that's not gonna agree with you, but you have some people that are not gonna like you, of course, in any profession. Some could be out of jealousy. Some people are out of hatred or despise. True enough, but is it anybody? How many people? If I would say to the supporters, how many people do you know have they did a resume? You know how when you look at it, you go to BBB website and they got review on this person or this individual. Is there any reviews, any testimony of? Oh, and who is these people? And these, if they got a name and where they come from, what part of the country, what have they done? What has he done for their child? How does it affect their child? How does his body of work affected them? You know, has it improved their family? Has it improved their relationship life? Has their children personality improved? Look, has his action show? Again, when you're dealing with a psychologist and a psychiatrist and all these other people, what does their work recommend? Has it affected them? Or to call them to be one of the most requested and the best on the planet? Where's the proof? Where's the testimony from other people and people in his field? That people, you know, that can recommend his book and everything. Where's other people? Where's the testimony? Again, and I understand his father's going to protect his own son because that's his son. That's his flesh and blood. I understand that, but his father, I understand it'll always come back to him. So, and it's online. His father's YouTube page online, and that's the video. You know, Umar Johnson, SQU. And you can hear his side of the story about what happened. And I applaud him for helping out the woman with the business. And certain things I agree with him, but there's certain things, you know, that it's not worth people getting hurt or getting in trouble, but to make other people accountable. No, Mr. Johnson, no, your son should be held accountable. He was the one who started this. He was the one that came to social media trying to ask people across the country for money, and they have not seen what their money produced. And he come back and ask for more money, and more money, and more money, and more money, and then guilt shame people. They use manipulation tactics and saying, you know, using tactics about black people spending money. How come you can't spend money for yourself on his own school? This is what he done. Use manipulation, trying to manipulate, find someone weak-minded. And people been generous. People were generous when they gave him close to $750,000. And then right now we're in the middle of a recession, right now, and he's asking for more money. People trying to figure out how they're gonna eat. People gonna have a place. The last thing anything about donate to a trap house building. They try to figure out how they're gonna survive. He's not thankful for what he got. He's arrogant of what he got. And yeah, he showed that he got it, but he's not pulling his weight. He's not pulling anything out of his pocket, and what he's trying to pull out of his pocket is going about the wrong way. So again, he has to take responsibility, and no one else didn't cause the violence. If it had been for somebody's business, wouldn't have been violated if it had been for his mouth. If he would just lay low and act like he got some sense, a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened. Again, he keeps popping himself on social media. People, when knowing his face, when they see how his and hear his respond, he get the mockery come at him, and he can't figure that out. It's him. He's not using any common sense. Like, it's time to back down. Back down. Stop. Lay low for a while. That would be my advice. Lay low. Because right now, you're not looking so good. And they built up stuff, and the evidence that they built up on him, using his own words, doing his own actions, people across the country who he had manipulated, some people who really didn't like what he done, and as revenge, they have shown his incompetence in things, and let other people know who he have revenged at, what his incompetence have done, cause his own stuff to be shut down, and cause ravage and chaos, and cause business. People already hurting on businesses anyway during this virus. So he's hurt his own self, his own words. He's criticized the church, the black church. They want people to have the black church to use their church as a speaking term. This is what he did. But yeah, he do the same thing with what he caused the ministers to do. And then he used other people's business who did not say, they had no knowledge that he was going to have a book signing or any. There was no representation that were coming into that to their particular business to show that he lied. And the businesses said, and it was proof on another YouTuber channel, a lot of those YouTubers that he didn't. They contacted the business and say, no, we don't know about no Dr. Umar Johnson. No, we didn't arrange something like that. Again, he says specifically this is where he gonna be at. He puts it on social media, and some of the people who say, okay, let's see if he went there. And then sometimes enough people probably sent the video to the past video showing how his actions was, how his personality was. Didn't want anything to do with them. Again, it comes back to him because it's stuck past things of what he said. He can't figure that out. His own mouth was his own destruction. Being anti-LGBTQ, saying if he had a gun, he said that would have been my situation. I would blow the cops' brains out and stuff like that. Talk about white people. And then have white people pose in the picture. Again, it's his own mouth. And I would say to his father, it's his own mouth that caused the destruction. I'd be like, his son has not taken no responsibility, and he has not exercised no common sense. So that's why they're mocking. Again, that's why they're coming at him. That's why all these different channels, people on social media, and people who are trying to point some things out, who come to these well-known radio personalities and who have on social media, and those who are in the city saying, on the conscious community, saying, look at this guy's character. And they say, okay, well, we're not going to judge him. We're going to get his side of the story. And so they say, okay, what is your side of the story? And then when they go ask questions that really what the major people really want to know, he gets offended. He wants to be questioned on how he should be questioned. He wants to control the interview. And then if the interview don't sound right, that's when his true nature come out. Again, he show his true colors. And the people who protect him, they're getting in trouble behind him. They're trying to support him. Just like the latest incident. Trying to tear down a couple people's character. And this one guy, young man, he's in some big trouble. Because he did a couple of illegal things. And he's pulling people down with him. And sometimes people don't have to legally, everything don't have to result in violence. Some people do grown things, not do handle it grown up ways, like take you to court, have you arrested. You trying to think they're gonna fight? Sometimes people don't. Some people don't think, they don't go down the same path as they do. Like, I'm gonna come out to and threaten you or shoot you or beat you up. No, they ain't gotta do that. They just gotta pick up a phone, call the right authorities, and that person's in trouble. And they got the proof and evidence to say, and they have a nice paper from attorney somewhere and saying, if you don't cut this out, you'll be summoned to court. Simple as that. And again, not every person is stupid out here. So he's trying to just, he said he's trying to understand being transparent, but at the same time, his son will have to take responsibility. And again, as being the parent, it's logical you're gonna protect your flesh and blood. But sometimes when your flesh and blood is out of line, they need to be told about it. So my suggestion to him is to really buckle up, go for a ride, because every time when his son opened up his mouth, his own destruction is right there. His very words, his own destruction. His very words that people are running, making videos about. His very words. He don't execute his words. For someone who's rattling off stuff, he don't know how to lay low and think about some of the things he said. He just blurt anything out, and that's why people get this kind of response. He just say anything. His actions show. And again, it has to, whatever, it comes back to the person. You can't blame people for doing what they do. You can't blame them. So he opened. Remember, he opened the door. So whatever come to the Umar Johnson's family is Umar Johnson's. So the backlash is coming towards him, and that's what his father need to understand. It's him. That what's coming in. So you're protecting it, and naturally it's going to reflect you, because as his father, people are questioning you. And what's going on with your son? That know the person know you. And I know it's got to be coming close to his father. Like, people are like, what's wrong with your son? I know some people probably got to be who's close to them. Because, they're on social media or come across them in some sector, someone that they know, and say, look at this guy, look what he's saying, look what he's doing. And especially back in their original city in Philadelphia, and putting Philadelphia people, oh, and Delaware people, find that, not smart. So that would be the wise thing to do. Lay low. Lay low. Get a part-time, work with partner up with somebody, and just go back into his profession. Make some money. And go back into his field, or go back and take some courses on how to deal with children on an upgrade. That's what Umar Johnson can do, and just lay low off of media. But as long as he keep coming to media, to social media, for the next 3 or 4 months, every week, people gonna be coming at him. He's gonna keep making something get worse and worse. He keep running all kinds of these little shindigs, whatever, and he's just opening up the door. More and more and more stuff is coming at him, and until he uses exercise and lay low and use common sense, he's gonna look like a clown. People gonna keep clowning him. I'm just being truthfully honest with you. If you sit back, and then people got his own, again, YouTube someone captured and play out the whole video, not just edit and catch him on certain clips. They played out the whole video, and then sometimes they'll add in their information, then they'll let you hear out this whole discussion, and they'll catch him that day on that video site, that time period, and they're like, and showing their audience, and they're like, dang, showing proof with their subscribers and other people coming to the page. They seeing this like, what the? So that's why. And so when he's coming to their city, with someone showing his own video, that's how his stuff is getting shut down. That's why he's not getting the support. It comes back to his own words. But anyway, I didn't mean to go on this long. Till next time, my name's James. But yeah, if you talk to Umar Johnson's father or anybody's connected to him, and they wonder what's going on, tell them it's his own words. His own words. That's why they're coming at your son. His own actions. It's caused all this stuff. And we can both agree, nobody want to see nobody getting business getting vandalized or somebody getting physically harmed. But he better watch. But at the same time, on his end, he need to stop and think about what he said to initiate. Don't just if someone disagree with you, don't having someone give me the contact information, because I'll send somebody out there, or I'll find some way, I'll go handle them. Don't do that, because that sounds like a threat. And people don't take threats lightly, and that would be interpreted as a threat. So when he threatened people, then this caused all this. So you gotta get down to the source that caused all this chaos. It comes back to him and his personality, and people who stand in agreement with his personality. And if they believe in that, then what does that tell you? If some of his supporters believe in acting out like that, what does that tell you? And if you would go and let's say you wasn't supporting him, you around people who have that kind of mentality, you send your kids and your kids pick up that kind of spirit and bring it to your kids. Next thing you know, it'd be like it would be no different than you take your kids from your other school with this other situation, whether it's a public school or private or charter, because they have the same issues. It won't be resolved properly. Then the children come out abused, angered, or worse than what they was. So people who on both sides need to be aware of this. Look at the man who's running it. Study his character. Look at his actions, what he put on social media, and think about your kids' future. That'll be my advice. Until next time, you guys take care out there. and go out and check out his video, his father's video.